Jocelyn Reed, your host, mother, sister, friend, educator, coach, and lifelong learner. A super fan of a mac and cheese loving curious kiddo named Zaire. Let's plant seeds for the future and figure out how to describe and share this wild ride we call life together, one word at a time.
You are listening to Rootwords, the podcast presented by Revolve Learning.
Okay, my educators, this is our first Educator Edition episode, and we are talking about legacy. Look, this is my jam. You might hear the extra level of excitement in my voice when I hop over here on these bonus episodes to just share with you guys, my educators, teachers, school leaders. And this concept of legacy 100% translates into the classroom. And look, it's hard out here, and you may not often think about why you joined this profession. And I just want to say, just the practice of reminding yourself on a daily basis of why you became an educator or a school leader in the first place, it can change your life and your daily experience of teaching. So I want to dive into what our students' perception is about us and what they will remember about you. So this makes me think about my worst fear as a teacher, and it always kept me in check. And we've all seen this. We would turn on the news or see stories, and our students will grow up and blow up and be on the news or YouTube or whatever, and you will see them talking about a teacher that didn't believe in them or said that they would never amount to anything, and then they're on this gotcha pathway of destruction. And while I believe I never would do anything or say something that would land me in the news in that way, it does make me think about what am I doing and how will I be remembered to my students? It is the greatest tragedy of being a teacher to just not be able to truly see how all of your students turn out after pouring your mind and soul into their learning for a whole year. So we're talking about legacy here, and what would your students say about you? What would they say about what you value in the classroom? You are going to hear me say this often. Nothing is more powerful, and all learning revolves around relationships. That is the key. The strongest teachers with the best classroom management and academic results have the best relationships with their students. So if you think about it, the best years of your education growing up likely happened at the hands of someone who took that extra step. And now when you have that conversation about school, you are likely contributing to their legacy by remembering them for that reason. They built a relationship with you. And so if you teach that mindset yourself, you're just paying it forward. So let's talk about if you don't take that step to build relationships. Imagine you might be super strict with your routines and procedures. It's on point. You may have heard someone tell you, don't smile till November. The kids don't need to see that. You need to have control. You might raise your voice at students because you're so frustrated with the various behaviors in your classroom. And you may only smile or show your fun side on holiday parties or right before break on that last day. You might tell students, oh, you had fun at the holiday party or the assembly. That's over now. Fun's over. It sounds crazy, but it happens. And if you hear yourself in these examples, just hear me out. Now, if you go to ask your students now, what do I value most in this class? Or why do you think I'm a teacher or a school leader? Don't be surprised if you don't get the response aligned with helping them become a better person, to learn or to grow. You might hear things like, you value turning in our homework in the bin in the morning, or you value us being silent all the time, or you became a teacher to make money. Oh, you know that is a whole lie. So think about it. Did you really become a teacher to make that level of impact on your students? Let's flip this. How can you make a deeper connection with your students where you both truly cannot wait to get there in the morning? Now, I want to believe that no one actually signs up to be an educator to completely remove and divorce themselves and their personality and their interests from teaching when they walk through the doors and into their classrooms. So, how are you finding ways to showcase joy? Are your students witnessing you in stride and loving it? Not just surviving, but thriving and striving for more. Look, I get it. There are 1,000 reasons why you may not feel joy because of all of the other things that comes with the profession. But think about the sphere of control. You might have heard of this concept before. So if you think about this target, and in the very center, that very center circle, you have the things that are in your control. Outside of that circle are other things outside of your control. But in the center, things that you can control are within the four walls of your classroom, like your tone, your attitude, your word choice, and just straight up how you show up for your students. We actually can't afford to be a contradiction to all the motivational posters hung up in the classroom or bulletin boards you work so hard on and the core values we may hear in the announcements or posted around the school. So the concept that I mentioned in the legacy episode, it still applies here. Our students also see what is possible for their lives through the prism of their teachers. They spend more waking hours with you than any other person this year. So when children are really clear on why you show up for them, they trust it. And they can't learn from anyone they simply don't trust. So we can't assume that they know why we are teachers. And we have to take control of that narrative based on our actions and what we provide for them. Here's where I want to provide for you. Before you go to check out the Questions to Connections Educator Edition for this legacy episode, I would love for you to check out the Path to Meaningful Connection resource just to warm up the pathway to sharing with your students at a deeper level. And if you already have strong relationships with your students, I would just check it out to see if the phases and example questions can be helpful to filling in any gaps. I also would urge you to think about the students in your classroom that you don't know much more about than their academic levels and progress. And start there with the breaking ground phase to strengthen that relationship. You might find out that no one really asked them those questions or about themselves. At the end of the day, later on in life, they might be talking about you as that one teacher that took the extra step to truly getting to know them. That's the key, and that is a legacy worth bragging about as a teacher and an educator. I would love for you to subscribe to this podcast to be notified when we have any new episode dropping, and come visit us at revolvelearning.com. Sign up to be on our mailing list and you will automatically get any free resource right in your inbox as soon as it drops. Thanks for listening. I truly cannot wait to hop back over here in these Educator Edition episodes. I will catch you in the next one.